Welcome all to my paranormal closet where the stories and magic take place. Today's guest started his paranormal group during the pandemic in October of 2020. His curiosity and interest in all things ghostly began in the 90s when the broken doorbell of his childhood home chimed the night his grandpa passed away. I've had the pleasure of collaborating with him on several paranormal investigations. Join me in welcoming Scaredy Cat Paranormal's Ghost Cowboy, Sean Flynn. Hey.
Morning, Eleanor. How are you? Happy Sunday.
Yes, thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome.
So tell me about that night your grandpa died.
Yeah, my parents have I was back in '94. I was still living at home. They had a doorbell has been wired a long time. So that day after he passed away, like 11 o'clock at night, the doorbell rang. I'm like, Dad, the doorbell's ringing by itself. I wasn't gonna go downstairs, So he went upstairs. So yeah, it was really weird. It was like his way of letting us know that he was there and it's fine.
Did everybody feel the same way that you did about it? That it was a sign?
Yeah. I mean, my brother and sister, my other brother and sister were younger, so yeah, I definitely thought it was a sign. Now I've always been intrigued about that. Even before that, go to a library, look at like books of like demonology, witchcraft. I was kind of interested, but it fueled more at my kid's house. We had activity there for like the longest time. We come and go. Because my son was younger, oldest son, his toy was going on by itself. But as years went on, heard footsteps in the hallway. We had another team come in, and what happened was we heard like a whistle downstairs. So someone was trying to get attention, and they said because the way the house is on the land, it was kind of like a highway of spiritual activity.
This is where your son was living?
This is why I was living in my kid's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was probably like a portal of some sort, maybe? That you're talking about?
I've heard there's smells, I smell some smooth external. I smell smoking, fire. I got scratched a couple of times because there's an entity downstairs. My name called. I was in the house by myself. My name called. But yeah, but it fueled more when her and I was get kind of like disagreements. It would fuel it more. Otherwise, when I left, the house was quiet. So yeah.
So you think it was because the spirits in the house knew that you could see it and sense it, and so that's why they tried to get your attention?
Yeah. I knew I'm alone in the house. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait. I'm just sitting on the couch waiting for something to happen. I knew they'll watch me, but my youngest son saw a woman walking through the hallway. They didn't really pay attention one time. One time I was stopped by seeing my son, and we heard footsteps in my youngest son's room. We went outside above, in the high ranch, so you hear it in the garage. I'm like, did you hear that? He's like, yes. They ignored it, but I heard. I'm like, oh, someone's upstairs. But the team found EVPs of people speaking. Actually, one time I saw a shadow figure of a little boy on the side of the bed. Maybe 4 foot, 3 foot tall, 3 foot tall, like that. So it was quickly, and yeah, that's kind of really got it, and just the whole. I started dabbling more like cemeteries, going left a little bit, but it didn't really start fueling. I started with the basic stuff, this basic EMF meter. I even tried like a couple apps on my phone, but then
I know working with you, I noticed you use a lot of special equipment. Why don't you tell the listeners what the equipment is and what it actually does in helping to communicate with spirit? Because you just talked about how you use some traditional methods when you first started out, and now you use a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple equipment like EMF reader, electromagnetic field, and what that does, it the theory spirits give off electrical what's that word? Energy, leftover energy, and And what the EMF does, it emits a kind of like what's the word? It's like not a frequency. It gets like it fills out like electrical field that if an entity enters that field, it breaks it and it makes a device light up. So I had that. REM pod does the same thing too. It emits a electrical field, and anything breaks it, it'll actually activate the device, let you know that it's there. Like I said, it's always trying new things with that. Some places which you actually can't unable too much background noise, you can't use EVPs. Electronic voice phenomenon. So you rely on visual devices. I have what happens.
Like
I've been.
what?
Go ahead.
Like what? Visual devices.
I'll use my REM pod, my mel meter, so this way if I'm somewhere I can see it going on and off, or I can hear it going off in no room like that.
Have
I've
you ever used Have you ever used an SLS camera at all?
yes. I actually no, I have not used LS. I'm still kind of on edge on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, if it works for somebody, I'm fine with it. But with that kinetic technology, it started with Xbox, is that it maps you out, but then people have frequency. They may call a glitch, maybe that it shows also like disembodied, but it maps somebody's there, somebody's not there, but it maps it. So I think Ghost Ventures had that. They had a TV show and it kind of ignited the whole SLS.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. One of the guys made it, and it kind of like skyrocketed. Everybody wanted to get SLS camera. Yeah, for me, I'm not sold on that technology, but if it works for somebody else, I've seen it when somebody's investigated us has used it. But with the whole thing is that it will map out if there's something in the room, it'll map it out like a chair or like a broom like that. Like it'll interpret that as a person. So
So you think the chair gets misinterpreted as a person?
yeah, we're at Peachfield, and well, we already had one, and the fireplace had the hearth had a whole like bunch of like fireplace pokers and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
So do I think it's? I mean, you always got to rule it out.
Right.
So you guys don't use one, do you?
We have two team members that have them, and they
All right.
have used them.
We thought tonight.
And one instance that I could speak to is that when we did an investigation in this antique shop, they had these 3 antique pieces hanging from the ceiling. There was an antique bird cage, there was an antique pram, and there was a more recently dated, probably like 60s or 70s, inflatable blimp. And these things kept on moving in different, not even in the same direction, not at the same way as if there was a draft of some sort. They were moving like this. And so we went to go and debunk them somehow and couldn't find any reason for them moving. Yeah. So Margaret whipped out her SLS camera, because at this point now she's a sensitive medium, and there are other people on the team that are sensitive mediums, and they all were getting spirit sensation of children. So she said, well, I'm going to take out the SLS camera and see if I can spot them. And she shined the camera on the moving pieces, and I was videoing this while she was doing it, and we saw children hanging from these items on the ceiling, and they were the ones that were moving it. So when something like that happens, it's hard to say, I don't believe it.
Yeah,
you know.
You got after like now I'm to the point that I want to know, okay, what caused that? Like a big thing is orbs.
Orbs.
Now we were at the Patcha house, and I got a photo. It's like two. I always take two. I always take two shots at the same spot. So he's my dual camera, and it looked like guys. It looked like a plasma ball. But then I sent to my one friend Joe for a party, and I sent to my other friend James, who was last night with us. And their theory is, if you can't see the orb physically, then there's really nothing there.
What's a plasma ball?
It's like a ball of energy.
Oh, and that's different. That's different from an actual orb.
Yeah, it's more energy, but I got a picture of it. I'll send to you. I don't think. I mean, that's the great debate, or the great orb debate out there. You know.
Oh my gosh, it's a huge division in the paranormal world for sure.
That is. So they said they've been James has been doing this for 40 years. So he taught Joe. So I'm learning a little more from him. Yeah, you know, it looks like a perfect sphere, but it again, it was a flash. So possibly the way the camera reflects like that, it absorbs whatever absorbs light like that could cause that. I mean, like I say, you always want to see what caused it first before you make the first big jump on it. So
I got to send you this video that a reader of mine sent me. She had found out that I wrote books and she had read them, and then she got my email from my books, and she sends me this email and she says, listen, I bought this old historic church and I'm transferring it into the home with the hope of putting a business in the front church end of it. And she says, I'm living here alone with my children. And she said, I got cameras on the front part of the church because it was abandoned for so many years. She says, now she's living in the back end with her children. If somebody comes in, she doesn't want them to come upon her and her children in the house, part of it.
yeah.
So she had cameras going just in case they broke into the church part. And she gets this orb that she, at the time, she didn't know anything about it being paranormal. She thought, is it paranormal? Because she was sensing stuff. Her kids were seeing spirits and that sort of thing. So she sends me this video and she goes, do you think it's paranormal? And in my opinion, it is probably the best video I've ever seen of an orb. It just was crazy cool. I have to send it to you. When I messaged her back, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I do believe that that's an orb. So she had let us go into her building at the time to do an investigation. And we actually did 3 separate investigations there and had some crazy spirit activity. So I'll have to send you that picture just so you could see that orb and the difference in others that you see along the way.
I was messing my I got a camera system. I haven't really used it all. I attempted, but I'm not really. There was some issue with the camera. Yeah, I just tried in my apartment and like got some big orb thing walking around. That's kind of weird like that. But yeah, it's always, especially some location like that at the church. Probably most definitely it is paranormal because it's an old church like that. But that's pretty cool. That's definitely that's always been a great debate. I've seen plenty on social media. It's obviously not, but listen, it'll if you think it is, that's fine. If you ask my opinion, I'll kind of like well,
Yeah, it's iffy. There are some that you like, if I saw something that I was unsure about, I would say I can't definitively stand behind the fact that this is an orb. But there are other instances that I'm just like, I have, in my personal opinion, no doubt that it's something. And I've caught them on video and some of them in photographs, where you even zoom in on them and you actually see an apparition or a spirit inside the ball of energy. So, and there are others that you don't see nothing. So the ones that you really don't see nothing, I'm not really sure about unless I was actually able to see it moving on video, and then you kind of get better clarification. So there definitely is a big question mark. And there was definitely a division in the paranormal world about and it can become a huge argument with people too. I mean, they'll argue to the end, and it's like, have a little bit of an open mind and try and really research it and debunk it before you immediately say no. That's all.
And with that, quick story. I called this in New City, New York. There's an old Jacob Blavell house. Yeah, and it was a historic home. So I called up the head of the woman head of it, and I'm like, ask, he was asking questions like, do you guys allow paranormal investigations? It's a historic home. She's like, no, we don't. I might ask you why. And she's like, yeah, because I don't believe that paranormal has to do with history. I'm like, well, that's
Really?
assuming, man. I don't mean assuming. I don't mean to
Disrespectful.
yeah, I disrespect, but I disagree. It does. She's like, no, it doesn't. You can't convince me. I'm like, okay, no problem. Thank you. So I definitely want to go there to one that had like open, or like a tour like that.
Yeah, you could just walk around.
He repeated me, kind of gonna have some recording like that. It's just, listen, it's some people, like I went down a place in Morristown, historic Ford House, and I did a tour. The kids showed me around like that. Then what is it? I heard something upstairs, and the kid's like, "Oh no, it's the AC like that." And the woman, the one of the girls working there, she's like, "Yeah, we don't believe that in here." I'm like, "Wow, this whole place is like, this whole place untapped territory." But you know what it is, because they get funded by the state, so still only state concerned about is historical. They don't, if it's
They
anything
don't
in
need
between. In between is like, well, you guys have, want to make some extra money. We know exactly how to help out. But it
sure.
happens.
Hey, in your experience, has there been a particular investigation that for you was actually frightening?
I would say got go. I mean, frightening wise, I've actually, it was spooky. We were at the Burlington County, and everyone's upstairs, right? And I one of my devices was downstairs in the basement, right? We
Mm-hmm.
go upstairs. I freaking out going to basement myself. I know like something's down there like that. You just know, like I was upstairs. I'm like walking down the basement myself. Yeah, but I'll go back to the scariest is had Letchworth again, because by myself in dark hallway, something shuffling to the left, and my device going off next to me. Yeah, that'd be scary. That would be definitely the scariest. Yeah.
Oh, tell your story about the basement.
Oh yeah. Oh, so anyway, actually a year ago today, I was yesterday, but a year ago on this day, I met my friend Joe and Mike, the War Party Paranormal. They came up. They were here up for the wedding, so I met in Letchworth. So we go in the basement, and I showed them the location where a solitary confinement room was. So they're doing the video, and Mike has his thermal camera on. So we're doing our thing. So later on, actually, we got a lot of EVPs with Mike and them, Mike and Joe being there, because the new energy, very compelling EVP. So later, Mike edited his video. He caught in the basement a tall, multi-arm entity that lives in the basement, and so I'm like, well, every time I go there, this thing's probably in the basement is watching me. Like it's just, I'm like, I'm not going there again. But besides that, Mike caught a figure going across the hallway with his thermal camera.
Mm. Well, I told you somebody from the paranormal field that I knew got a figure at the end of one of those hallways too. Well, what do you think that thing with the multi legs tall thing is?
I think it's an entity made up with all the energy in there from the hurt, anger. So it manifested into whatever it is. And I do think that the Dr. Charles Little, who's head of the place when Mr. Letchworth passed away. I think that he has a lot to do with it being there, because there was a lot of, very patients were mistreated. And
Mm.
from the 20s into the 90s, especially from like I'll say from the late 20s to the 80s, a lot. I'll say the 80s, a lot of mistreated, a lot of crazy stuff went on there, a lot like nobody knows about. overcrowded. So I think a lot of it is so it's not produced. Kind of you put everything in the bag, and this is where you get this creature, whoever lives down there.
Mm.
So yeah, it's definitely actually another investigator wants to go there soon. So yeah, it's definitely as crazy as I've met, I've dealt with like that. So do I want kind of like experience something crazier? Probably, just to experience like that. But yeah, no, that's for me that's the most compelling. Oh, and also the scary thing too is hearing my name being called in my kid's house when I'm alone. So a woman
Oh
said,
yeah,
"Sean." I was like,
yeah.
"How myself?" I said, "Sean, perfect Sean." I'm like, "Okay." I froze.
I could see that being scary. Yeah, nobody in the house, they're calling your name. Yeah, that
Yes.
would creep me out.
Well, that's the kind of evidence you want to hear like that. We have
Sure,
devices, whatever, but that's something that you really want to hear. A disembodied voice, like that or smell. You
sure.
want something like that, yeah. But
How do you compare yourself and your paranormal team from the ones depicted on television? Like, how do they differ?
well, usually tell people that what we see in TV, just throw out the window because it's not what happens.
I do.
Most
I
of the
said,
time, yeah, most of the time, most times you just wait. I mean, I could set base camp up in a room for like 2 hours and it's like nothing. I've experienced
yeah,
nothing happen like that. Um, yeah, it's not. I mean, a lot of TV is they mostly when it's quiet they make stuff up. It's kind of like that's entertainment. Uh, Jason Hawes from Ghost Hunters said last year. A friend of mine went there. He said most of the time you got like 20 hours of footage and maybe 5 minutes of activity like that. We goof on each other like that. That's what happens,
yeah. I had personal experience with a New York director who was trying to recruit us for a show when I was just an all-woman team, and he had said, if something doesn't happen, we're going to have to make it happen. He said, it's entertainment. We're here to entertain the public. And that's just the way it is. So it really shed some light to me on the shows. And if he was telling me that it's entertainment and we have to make something happen if it doesn't happen, don't you
Now,
think the other ones do as well, right?
yeah, well, actually, kindred spirits, they don't. They pray legit as you see it with Adam and Amy. Really,
Yeah.
they're really like yeah. Of all the shows, I like them the best. Um, I know a lot of people want to be the next big thing, but like I say, when we do it, even if it's you guys, we hang out, do have fun. I mean, if you can't have fun with it, why do it? We got yes, there's times like we packed up. We had the place last night from 6 to 11, but we packed up. We're out by 10:30 because it got quiet. Just upstairs was like there is a presence. There's more. Like last night, we got multiple EVPs and response to my spirit talker that kind of coincides more. I think that place is more to it that they know about. They know like Spirit Tavern, the Patchett's, and Emma Patchett, thing with daughters, was recluse. There's her presence was there to EVPs, and also a funeral home. We think there's more to it. So kind of like I have like kind of a foundation where what could be happening. Some more sinister could happen there, but yeah, no, it's a good place. I'd recommend it. I would, it was $30 a person. So
What,
I recommend the
they
place.
do them
Place
every weekend or once a month or something?
What's that?
What do they do them every week or once a month?
No, it's an art school. So they have like art and like kind of like music, kind of like events here. But yeah, they're very open about it.
No, it's cool.
I would
I
definitely
like
rec-
I like those venues that are
Yeah,
that
no,
are
it's a nice place. There is like you said, like last night, the device didn't really interact with it. It happens. So you go next option, EVPs or like that. I got a couple EVPs. Emma Pat's voice came up, of her name came up. So yeah, it was a nice calm place. But like just like some places they only know the baseline of history, and they could like you figure from 1848 until the funeral home closed like that. There's a lot of stuff in the area too.
Yeah.
Go up there like 17 was like the 1800s was a main place. Travelers going through like that. The tavern. So
Yeah, yeah. Of the investigations that we've done together up until this point, which one was your favorite and why?
actually, we just the recent one we did at Kathy's house. Is that it, Kathy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. That was my first actually private investigation.
Yeah, I like the private investigations because they're not, the spirits are new to what we do and they're curious, and you tend to get them more receptive too, whether they're trying to tell you to get out or if they're trying to find out why are you here, or when they do understand why you're there, being able to tell you who they are and that sort of thing. That's what I like also when that happens.
Yeah, also to kind of try and figure out what was originally there, and
Yeah.
and land like that is or something could be an object could be causing it, and also with the fact too is that you're in a home, so you have a lot of different factors going on, electricity, heating, or like that, anything. So
Yeah.
that was cool. That was fun thing. That was I mean, for you, what's I guess most intriguing private investigation you guys did?
Oh gosh, I do so many private investigations because of me writing my books. So the people that I write the books about end up reaching out to me and saying, I got stuff going on, can you come? I think the ones that stick out the most to me though are when we are at an investigation and we get a deceased loved one that comes through. Those visits are not ghostly visits, those are spiritual visits, but
Yeah.
those loved ones use the opportunity to come when we're there because they know that we can see and feel them, right? So even though we're there to catch the ghostly presence, which we usually do as well, they want to be heard too. And to just be able to deliver those messages to the family members, the homeowners, it's just so cool because most of the time it's a bunch of women with some men. The women end up crying because
Yeah.
it's all emotional. And you're doing this special thing by giving this family this message that their loved one is there. And it happens so many times on those investigations.
It does.
So many.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can name, one was a grandpa, one was a brother, one was the family dog. Another one was a child, the woman's child. And when I'm able to give those messages to those loved ones, they receive them and they accept them, and it just warms their heart because they have that faith that there is life thereafter. Because when I do an investigation, I do try to help the spirit understand that if they go into the light, they can come back anytime they want to. But if they don't go into the light, they're kind of like stuck wherever they are, and it is what it is. So I like to try and encourage them to go into the light. And sometimes it works, but then sometimes it doesn't.
Now, with that, I mentioned the other show that people saying, "Oh, sense of light," but I'm not trained or to do that. Do you?
I'm not either. I'm not either. Some of my team members are. They are able to do that, but I do the talking. Like when they're trying to concentrate, I'll be standing there doing the talking and say go, and they are able to tell me whether they've moved on or not. They'll be able to tell me they've gone. They're not here anymore. So I wish I were that gifted, and I'm trying to learn because everybody has the ability to do it. It's just a matter of taking the time to train and learn. But life gets in the way, so I kind of take what I can get, and I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself and what I can do and what I have since I started this back in 2015. I mean, I've been doing this my entire life, but I've not focused on learning about it. I've had it, but I've been afraid of it and that sort of thing. So it's really only been since the universe said, here, you got to do something with it. And that's when I was like, okay. So I do know that being around people like you and my team members who are gifted, it actually helps. And when you have that general energy of you all together, everyone has a piece of the puzzle is the way I like to put it. And we all have our part that we play in an investigation to getting to whatever it is we need to get to for that spirit and that family who own that home. So,
like, I do think, like, you know, like we all have pineal glands right here.
Do I think we all do?
No, well, we do. To have you like to I guess tap into it.
Do I think we all have the ability to do that?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do feel like we do. Some people have more gifted than others. Like a very dear friend of mine was born with a veil, they call it, over her. She was covered with the sack when she was born, and she came out already being able to see spirit, and she was nurtured from a child on to be able to. In fact, her husband died 2 years ago, and she's been able to communicate with him since he passed away. So something like that is something that someone's born with, but we all have a sensitivity. And then those people that are into it and receive it and want to learn about it is one thing, but then there are other people that don't. There are other people that shut it out and shut it down, or they don't believe. And then, you know, that makes for them not growing their gift if they have one to do so.
It's being like in tune. So there's a frequency. It's got to tune into that certain frequency. Like sometimes I go somewhere, I'm like, I feel absolutely nothing. There's days it's like, oh wow, okay, I don't, you know, it depends of my empath mood. You know, if it wants to, wants to tune in, or like, nope, not tuning in like that. Like sometimes I go like, I mean, nothing like this. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's like there's people who sit in a room like, yeah, somebody's here, somebody's there.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? I mean, it was fine. It was cool. Like, especially like, you know, with mediums.
Yeah.
I like to hear from their side.
I do too. And some of them can just see, some of them can hear, some of them can see and hear, and some of them receive pictures. Some of them it's like a movie, real.
Yeah.
It's very different for a lot of people, but I understand that because I think I mentioned it to you when I was a kid. I used to get premonitions, and the premonitions I got came to me in dreams when I was asleep. I would wake up knowing something or seeing something. It's almost like a deja vu, but just like another level of that I actually saw something happen, and then it would come true. And that's when you almost say, oh, deja vu, but it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Do you still get those dreams?
No, I think I told you I had a very frightening experience. I was about 12 years old when I had a premonition nightmare, and it was about 2 deaths in my family. And, you know, my mom poo-pooed it, and she said, oh, it was just a nightmare. Don't worry about it. And then it came true. And when it came true, it just took me for a while. I was like, oh my gosh. It happened exactly like you dreamed it. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it was going to happen. I could have done something about it. I mean, now I know logically there would have been nothing I could have done about it. Here I was a young kid. I'm going to say, no, you got to stop this from happening. Nobody would have believed me anyway. But because of that, I shut down and really, really didn't go anywhere with it until I was 30, when there was like this reawakening. And when I did reawaken, it was just to learn about what it is that I could do, and the premonition thing never came back. So I may still be dormant. I don't know.
Like I get sometimes I get like for no reason, like some bad feeling for no reason. I'm like something's bad, but it's kind of like, you know, like when I woke up like that, I'm like, I feel kind of like, I don't know, like a bad feeling coming upon, but I don't know what it is. It's like, you know, it's
an instinct, a gut feeling, that kind of thing. I still have that. I still have it, and I do have a sensitivity of when I go into a building. I call it my foofy feeling, when I can tell that there's a spirit there, and I can tell if it's good or if it's bad. So that much I have, but beyond it, no.
Right. Yeah.
What is the most real proof you yourself have uncovered so far in your investigations?
Meaning,
Um, I guess definite proof of ghosts, because first of all, what do you think is definite proof ghosts are real? Like, what do you accept as real proof? And then have you
real
gotten
proof would
some?
be, like I say, if you see apparition, smells a big thing, or even voices, like the one at Selma. I walked out of the room, like, oh, and you kind of like you're about to bump somebody, you try to move away, and I saw quickly like an old woman with a veil over her face. And that was it. Once like a
Mhm.
couple second thing like that. Yes. Either smells. Um, yeah, for me, like more physical, like seeing or smelling or like disembodied voices. I'll trust that more. That's more than the device going off. Anything could be causing the device to go off, but seeing and personally, yeah, that's definitely for me be actually last night we're leaving, I got like my finger, my left hand, like I felt like someone touched my hands, like just static electricity.
Mhm.
And James like, oh yeah, it's the same body you. It was weird, like somebody was, yeah, that was cool. But you not get all the time. Once in a while, you might get that big almighty, like that experience. Like that's cool. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that. I posted a video of the recorded disembodied voice over at the cemetery.
Yeah.
I used my analog and it just said the guy's name.
When that happens, it's great, especially if you can tie the name back to the actual person. When you actually go back in history and say, "Oh my goodness, this person did actually."
Well, I didn't get his name, but what I did was, and someone brought it. I had my Spirit app going, Spirit Talk app going at the same time. So I watched the video, and I asked myself the same question. I didn't hear in the video, but 8 seconds later, uh, I got another word, Night Whisper. 8 seconds later, so I knew right away. I was that answer I got was not from my spirit. It was not from the spirit app. It was not. It was straight from somebody spoken to the microphone right there. Perfect. It was.
Ah,
Yeah. I thought
those are great catches. Oh my
someone
goodness.
brought it up, so I decided to double check. Just in case it was. Say okay, it wasn't a voice. It was yeah. I mean, will it happen again? I don't know. Just at one moment. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like the Rockport train wreck, I told you that one time we were there and the bells and the lights went ding, 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 and we were interacting with it all night. And then we went back there twice after that to try and get it to happen again, and it never did.
it didn't.
Although I have spoken to like a former member of my team, John Matthews. He has gone there many times before, and he has said that the lights have done that to him.
It has
So
really. Okay.
yeah, so it does happen, because I spoke to him about that after, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that happened to me." So it does happen, and it can happen. It's just a matter of, and as I believe, it was one of the train engineers who was causing that to happen. He was the one that was communicating with us. He was the one, I think I told you, likes to guard the train, even though it's not a passenger rail anymore. He doesn't know that. He likes to keep the train safe so nobody else will get hurt.
That's like I said. I heard because the first time I went there, I heard in the distance a train.
Yeah.
So I heard this. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting. Wait, I'm waiting. I went, okay. I heard the
Where's
one.
this train?
I heard, yeah, heard it once. Like, feel like a train. And you usually because sound can travel all the time. So I
Sure.
fly maybe a couple miles down, and I'm waiting.
And no train came. Well,
And
that
no
was what
train.
happened to us too. The bells and the whistles went off. We were all walking on the tracks, and all of a sudden the bells and whistles go off. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a train coming. Everybody get off the tracks. And we all get off the tracks, and we're waiting, and no train comes. And then it all of a sudden went like ding, 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 ding. Oh my gosh, I think they're trying to get our attention.
Is
And
that is that is that like is that track active track or just not?
it's a freight track. Yeah, so a freight train does come through. I don't
Once
know how
once
often.
once the blue moon, yeah, because we were
Yeah,
marking it the last time for this 2.5 hours, whatever. It was actually 3 hours
nothing.
there and
Yeah.
nothing. Nothing.
I don't know how often it is, but the people who live in that house right there confirmed that the train does. It's a functioning track. It just is not a passenger track, and they do use it for freight. So
Okay. Like, I remember your article and it says active is the active line. I'm like, all right, so I gotta be careful. Then I'm like, oh, this is it's pretty quiet, no?
yeah. So what do you think is the hardest part for you about being a paranormal investigator? What do you find to be the most difficult thing?
Well, I would say explain to people, try to explain to people why you do and why you do it. You know, they feel like, well, you're. I mean, when people say you're a ghost hunter, which for me, that was the cliche. Everybody use paranormal investigator or paranormal researcher. So why do you do it? Or, like, they look at the 5 heads, like, or even explain like location, what you do and why. It's like, just kind of explain to people why what you do and
Yeah.
what. Yeah. So people like, what? What? It's like, why do you do it? Because I'm passionate about it. I want to know. I want to know what causes it. I want to know. There's more to it. With kind of a theory, I speak to my coworker about is that when we go to places like Burlington, we're there doing a thing, but at the same time, another plane that the prison is active. Everybody's
Mm.
going out doing the normal thing every day. So I've kind of like said on my thing, like, guys, like, paranormal is kind of somewhat like time traveling because we see the old building is depleted, but right behind us, above, underneath, or below us, is full functioning location. It's a little far, it's way out. I'm always thinking out of the box like that. Actually,
Yeah.
my coworker and I talk about all the time about about interdimensional traveling, all that stuff. So
There's so many things that I wasn't even aware of when I first started learning about this stuff. I mean, I kind of had this one track vision
yeah,
of ghosts,
yeah,
UFOs,
yeah.
Bigfoot. And then when you get to talking to people in the field, it gets like this. And then it's like you don't even think about elementals and gnomes and fairies. And when you talk to people in the field who are professors in these major colleges, and they're telling you, "Oh yeah, we're researching that stuff," and it's like, "Oh my God, it's crazy."
I think we just kind of started scratching the top of this whole thing paranormal.
Yeah,
It's
paranormal
not.
investigating has progressed so much over the last 10
I mean,
years. Like,
it's not about just going somewhere. All right, point A, B device out. All right, sit there. Come on, ghost. It's not more. It's more, like I said. I want to know what caused that. Caused it. There's more. There was more out there we know about, and how much more. Like, I mean, I do think that they learn with the people coming. They learn how to manipulate devices. But yeah, it's so much. Was so much more. I mean, I got into this thing late. Wish I was younger doing it in next life, maybe I saw younger. But yeah, there's a lot
you've come
more.
into it late. You think you've come into it late. I started at 50, really. So
Right, I do. I did too. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, I say 50. Yeah, my same age. Okay, my same age. People did it, but nah, it's fun. I met a lot of people. I mean, we work with you guys and a bunch of people we work with too at the same time. Um, yeah, it's fun. Everybody,
we met at the Paracon, didn't we? You and I.
you
In
were, yeah, you
Sleepy Hollow,
had,
was it?
you had your books. I bought, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sleepy Hollow. We handed out each other's business cards, and that's how we met.
right, right. Think next. Have you gone there back there?
No, I just went that one time with Bobby J. Gallo. I was supposed to do it with a team member who backed out, and then he ended up coming in with me, and it was a great way to make connections. But as far as traffic was concerned, it was pretty
Yeah,
dead.
it was.
So
I
I
think
came back.
I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, the thing like traffic, but yeah. There's I didn't go this year. Next year, I mean, I didn't go with the one in Jersey because I heard that one gets really crazy.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it's fun. Meet different people like that. Some are receptive, some aren't receptive. Um, no, it's fun. You gotta have fun with it. And as time I sit down, I read the skeptic side of things about that. And try to read more about reading about like how like how much energy we have. Like I've read like we have like 20 watts of power in our bodies going through it every day, and I try to figure out what happens when we pass away. Some people say our energy dissipates or gets regenerated, or it goes nowhere. You can get both sides, A and B.
Yeah.
They do, they don't. The religious side part of it. When you die, you go straight up there or down there. So there's no in between. So I'm always open to
You're
doing
still
things.
open to learning.
Yeah, I want to hear from A. I want to hear from option A, option B. I want to hear what you thought about it. No,
Yeah.
I'm open to it. Open to it. That's I learn.
What do you plan on doing in the next couple of months?
We have our next event is guys come to the West Hill Manor investigation.
I'm excited about that.
That's it. Maybe it's kind of slow down time. So any places to go check out. There's a place in Fairfield County Hospital. I may meet a bunch of people to go up there too.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's kind of slow down. Like I take a month off, kind of like regroup. Sometimes you feel like hit the wall. Like I'm gonna regroup a little bit like that. In the winter time, it'll be really quiet. So I'll do more like looking up things, like researching. I want to be more. My uncle married this woman from China, so I want to be more. It's kind of like now. So I want to be more into. I want to be more about like different cultures, like what's the Chinese culture about, like folklore like that. In between stuff like that. But yeah, sometimes you need a break. Kind of like Sunday.
Regroup,
Yeah, Sundays.
cleanse.
Yeah. Sundays on my social media. Every Sunday is I'll post something quickly. But otherwise, it's my social media free day. Sundays. You need
That's
that.
good.
Well,
That's
you need
good.
that.
Yeah.
You have to like that. I mean, I mean, with me, I've definitely like phone wise, I cut my phone time a lot after a while because I'd rather want to rather read about what causes everything and like that. Also too, like you're more into the prior investigations, but you've been very gracious inviting me to I appreciate that. So I get a different side of you. 'Cause
Oh,
a lot of people a lot of people want to go to the big places, the big Crescent, and want to go to
wellness places. Yeah.
yeah, they want to go to like the Village Boarding House, Conjuring, Hillsdale House, but there's in between places, and I use those as like lecture as training to learn
Sure.
more, try different things like that. This way you can take
Makes
that
sense.
with you, So
Yeah, I agree. Well, why don't you tell my listeners how they can follow you and your adventures?
all right, you guys can follow me on Facebook as Scary Cat Paranormal. You can follow me on Instagram at Ghost Cowboy 248, and on YouTube, Scary Cat Paranormal. I haven't done. I haven't signed up to TikTok yet. I don't know about that.
Oh my gosh, I did, and so now I just automatically, when I do my posts every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, I just go right to the TikTok and do it there too. So it's actually it can be grating after a while, but it is fun. You do see a lot of cool stuff on there, and so people do follow me. So I make sure that I post there. You should check
and
it out.
it's not Twitter anymore. What's it called, X now?
Yeah.
I've tried. I tried Twitter one time. Just like 1 week, you get different followers. Second week, you get a whole different followers, and like that's that's pretty much for me. But it's funny. A lot of people use Facebook. I'm like really? I mean, I use my main account is Instagram, so it goes on the Facebook. I met people like on my Instagram. And be like, yo, what? Like for me, Instagram is the way to get out there more like that. Even though it is linked to my Facebook account.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, you
Well,
guys can
there's those people that are into the Instagram, then there's the group that's into the Facebook, and then there's the group that's into the TikTok. I mean, you have a happy mix of it all. So
yeah, I might eventually do TikTok, try it out, give it, see what happens like that. But
yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. I say follow me on Facebook, Scary Cat Paranormal, Instagram, Ghost Cowboy 248, and on YouTube, Scary Cat Paranormal.
All right, sounds good. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Eleanor. Always a pleasure.
And we will be in touch.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great Sunday, all right?
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye. Thank you, Eleanor. Bye.